Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to another plan with me. I'm excited to be showing you guys my next sticker set. So as you guys know, if you watched my last video, each day this week I'm releasing a new color palette on my Etsy shop for this particular sticker set. So in my last video I did my monthly plan with me using this beautiful dreamy color set, and now today I have a different color set I'm going to be using. However, because I post every few days, by the time this video comes out there will be 3 or 4 sticker sets already released on my Etsy shop, and I will keep those links updated in the description, so if you do want to easily check those out, feel free, or you can just head on over to my Etsy shop and see what sticker sets have come out recently. So I'm going to start doing my weekly setup, but for this setup, instead of doing this really nice sort of dreamy, cool yet bright and inviting color palette, I'm going a totally different direction and I'm doing this sort of darker, cool, icy vibe. I really like this too for different reasons. This always happens to me. This is why I do so many color palettes, because I just like so many different vibes. So like I mentioned, the sticker set's exactly the same, especially these first 2 pages. If you didn't see my last video, these are the new additions for the New Year sticker sets. We've got some cute gnomes, paper clips, some affirmations and encouraging words, as well as a new washi tape style and some useful little icons to just kind of pop in as needed throughout the month or the week. This is the color palette I'm going to be using today, but since I know for sure by the time you're watching this that this sticker palette will be released, I'm just going to show you guys this one as well in case you're interested. I do really like the colors in this. It very much gives me like mermaid, under the sea vibes, yet still has those cool winter tones. I think it's a lot of fun. I think I'd really like using it in my planner, but I've already decided that I'm going to be using the icier one for my plan with me today, but I do think this one would be quite enjoyable. I have 2 more color palettes left to show you guys, but you'll have to come back for my daily plan with me video to see those ones. Anyway, without further ado, let's just get into it. Alright, so I'm just going to come to my monthly setup and I'm going to click on the right side of week number 2, and that's going to take me to the 2nd week of January to set up. Alright, so for starters, I'm just going to cover up everything, and if you've seen my videos before, you'd know that I use elements to make this so much faster. So I've just screenshotted like a white block and resized those on here, and then I just cover them up. So there's actually 1 rectangular block here, 1 up here at the top, and then 1 over here on the edge too. And that just kind of helps to give me a blank canvas to get started. If you want to see an example of a video where I've done that before, I'll link it in the cards just up here. But I personally like to do this and just start with a nice blank canvas. It really works for me. So I'm going to add one of the ombre colors here. So I'm just going to take a look, and I think I want to go with this darker one here. And I'm just going to grab the picture tool here, and I'm going to tap on this. I'm going to use these arrows to resize this. You just get so much more control with the picture tool, so definitely my preferred method of resizing things. And this blue here is pretty similar to the blue that's in the sticker set, so I want to make sure that I'm including some of that blue up here to kind of tie in the color that's already on the page. So I'm just going to add some text, but the color needs to be white. And the size needs to be a bit bigger. I'm just going to tap here. Let's center align this. Right, January. And space it out by drawing lines between each of the letters. And then I'm going to triple tap to highlight everything. And I'm just going to come back up here and increase the size until I'm happy with it. Grab my lasso tool and make sure that text boxes is the only part toggled on. And I'm just going to center that. And to double check that it's centered in the block, I always like to just take these blue dots and then just pull them out to the edges, because then I can guarantee that it centers itself. Alright, like I said, I need some of that blue. So do I want to do flowers? Do I want to do snowflakes? I feel like I'm going for an icy feel, so I am going to stick with these snowflakes. I think I'm going to grab my lasso tool and then turn images on and grab these 2 lighter colors. And come back and I'll paste these in here, and I think I'm actually going to paste a 2nd set. I'm just going to kind of place them in here. And then a little pro tip, which if you watched my last video you'd know this, but if you don't want the edges to hang over like that, you can just tap on them, crop it, and then you can just come to the rectangle tool and you can just cut off some of that edge there. So obviously this one would need to be rotated. You just line it up there, and then it looks like it's just part of that block. And you could go through and do it for all of them, but I actually don't mind the overhang. But if that's something that you prefer, feel free. Alright, so I do think this is pretty cute. I want to come in here and cover up these numbers, even though they do kind of match. I think I want to bring the darker color down in there. So I'm going to come over to the dark colors here. And I only need the 9th through the 15th, so I'm just going to lasso these ones. Tap inside, copy, come back and paste, and then size them all up together. We want to make sure that they cover up the circles that are already there, otherwise it might look a little funny. And then I can just start placing them in there. And I always like to grab a little extra so that my hand doesn't get in my way of trying to visualize where the stickers go. All right, we definitely need a little more color in here. So now here comes the fun part where you can really kind of make this your own. We have the functionality of this being a weekly planner, but now you can add habit trackers or meal planning or whatever it is that you want to do. So I think because it is the new year, I do want a little bit of meal planning in here, or at least ways to document my meals. So I'm going to take my lasso tool and I'm going to select these two. And I'm going to copy them, paste them, and I'm going to resize them together. And I want to show you guys the issue. It's so hard to keep them level that then, I don't know why Goodnotes does this, but then they're suddenly not straight anymore and they're just such a pain. So you can either come in here then with your picture tool and fix them, but then they're not necessarily going to be exactly the same size. But when you use the picture tool, it is so much easier to get them to stay level. But of course, if you're sizing two things at once, it's not quite that easy. So what I do when I'm making my sticker sets, for example, is I will overlap them and then make sure that they're the same size, and that keeps things consistent. So I'm just gonna come in and place them, and I'm actually not happy with that size. I want it a little bit bigger. So once I'm happy with that, then I'll come over and I'll place this on top and just resize it to match. All right, so that looks good. So now that I'm satisfied with those, now I can select them both, copy them, and then I can paste them and they'll remain the correct size. And I can just put them into place. And I think I'm gonna leave the weekends out. It's all about balance, right? All right, so I am gonna come here and, what do I want to do now? I really want to use these paper clips because honestly, guys, I'm in love with them. They're one of my favorite new elements. I think they look so great. I'm going to use a picture frame here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to a website called Unsplash. And here I actually searched earlier for a photo that was going to fit the color palette and also the vibe. And I think this one does a pretty good job. So I'm just going to hit this download free button. Tap download, and then, hey, thanks to Joel and Jasmin, so beautiful. And I'll leave a link for their image in the description below. And then I'm just gonna come up here to my downloads and I'm gonna tap on this photo, and then I'm gonna hit the little share export button. And I'm just gonna copy this image. I don't actually need to save it. And I'm gonna come back to my planner and I'm gonna paste this image first. All right, there we go. And it's super beautiful, but I actually don't need it to be quite that big. So I'm going to crop out some of the edges, and I'm really only wanting to crop in the edges, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I have this beautiful photo here now, and if I come over to my sticker pack and I grab one of these frames and I copy it and paste it on top, one of the beautiful things about it is that I can resize it from all angles, so I can make it wider or taller, but you'll notice that if I do it too wide, then these proportions get distorted. And the same would go if I did it long ways eventually. And so I wanted to make this a little bit less rectangular, so I don't have to do as much with it. But as you can see, I'm still gonna have to do a little bit. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm just gonna tap on it and crop, and I'm gonna bring the edges in ever so slightly. Try to do it evenly on both sides. And this way, when I make it wider, it'll look a little bit more even. All right, so I'm just gonna move this down a little and the photo underneath as well. What I wanna do now is I wanna take one of my white elements. I'm gonna grab this little square, grab my picture tool, and I'm gonna put this over top of the bottom of this photo here. And this just leaves me space for a caption. So of course you could write in there if you want to, but I want to use some of my lettering, and the lettering is all the same colors as the frames. So if I use one of these and the color matches, then you're gonna like lose a whole word. So I just put that little white in there and I think it looks fine. I'm gonna add the make it happen here. I think that'll fit in there perfectly. So I'm just gonna tap it and copy it and come back and paste it. And I'm just gonna size that until I'm happy with it. And then I've left a little space here because I'm gonna add one of the gnomes. So let's do this darker one. Paste. And I'm just gonna put him in there in the corner. Yay, he's so cute. All right, and now I'm gonna add a paper clip on top. I'm gonna use this blue one here. I'm gonna copy this one. I'm gonna paste it. And then I'm gonna come back and tap on this image with the picture tool. And then I'm going to crop it, but I'm gonna come to freehand. And then the way that you can do this is you can just draw a line where you wanna crop it. I want it to just blend more seamlessly. Then I'm gonna come all the way around it and just kind of like I'm doing a bubble letter around it. And now I'm gonna crop it. So basically what that's gonna do is it's only gonna crop off this edge here. So I'm gonna do that, and then I can zoom in and I can kind of rotate it to look like it's really actually kind of behind there. All right, and I think I wanna move it over just a little bit. But I like that, I think it looks good. I think they just look so realistic and I love them. All right, so I'm gonna try something a little bit differently. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna copy this. We're gonna see how this turns out. I'm gonna paste it and grab the picture tool. Sometimes you just have to try some ideas. Like this is definitely not something I would have normally thought of, but I'm just gonna size this up to kind of fill in the space. I was inspired by some t-shirts I've seen. So I don't know if you've seen them, but like the shirts that they're usually kind of retro-y, but they'll have these striped horizons and then they'll have like lettering or icons or something over top of it. And they just kind of are like cut out of that space. So what I'm going to do to try to mimic that is I'm going to find some lettering that I want. Why don't we do this Dare to Dream? And I'm gonna copy this one and I'm gonna paste it here. And I'm gonna grab my picture tool just to make sure that it's level. And then I'm gonna grab my pen tool. And it really doesn't matter what color. So for now I'm gonna use this black and I'm gonna use a thicker version of it. And I'm just gonna come in and I'm going to outline this. Then I'm just gonna come in and color this all in. And then I'm gonna come to my lasso tool and I'm gonna make sure that handwriting is off, which it is. I'm going to cut this, paste it on top. I'm going to turn handwriting on, select all of this, bring this over here and resize it. And that is kind of cute as is, but what I'm gonna do is just have handwriting on now. I'm just gonna select it and change the color. And now it just kind of looks like it was cut out of that. And I actually really like that effect. I'll probably be using that more in the future. But now what I'm gonna do is I think I'm just gonna add in, I don't know, for now I think I'm just gonna come in here, make sure my images are on. I might just add in these stripes. Paste them. I'm gonna rotate them. And then I might come back and just add in the grid paper. I tend to use this a lot. I don't know if you guys do, but I really like the grid paper. Maybe I'll start putting them in more colors. All right, so I'm just gonna size this where it's like comfortable. And then I'll come in here and I'll make this smaller to fit the space. All right, so now for this very last thing that I'm gonna do, I need you to just bear with me for a second. I'm gonna come over here and just grab a random darker color and I'm just gonna paste this on here. And doesn't have to be perfect because this is going to get deleted anyway. But now I've got this to work on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my elements and just paste this little square here for a second. Come back to my lettering and grab this one that's 5. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. Grab my picture tool and resize it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resize this here. And the goal is to kind of make it very similar in size, but just a little bit bigger. So I'm just kind of moving it around so that I can see. I'm gonna tap off of it and see. And I do like that size. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna copy and paste. paste, paste, paste. I'm going to grab my picture tool, tap on this one, and this allows me to see where the errors are. So I'm just going to cut this one. I'm going to paste it. And now I'm going to go in with my picture tool and just adjust it. It is a little bit tedious, but I think in the end it's going to be a cool look. And you can always save this as an element and continue to use it later. So sometimes it's worth it to put in a little bit of the extra work up front and kind of store these things for future use. And I like that. I think that looks really good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to select all of this and then just bring it over here. Oh my gosh. Yes, I love that, and I definitely want to do that more. And I'll come in with the white marker in like medium size and I'll write notes. You can use the text, of course, too, but this is so much easier. Okay, and that's it for this week. I'm really happy with this look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like, and if you would like to see more of these, be sure to subscribe because I put out new videos every 3 or 4 days. Anyway, thanks again for being amazing, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!